I'm Nathan Braun. I'm the founder of SSFeatures, and this is Smartsheet Unlocked with Productive.
My name is Rich Coles, founder and managing director of Productive. Welcome to Smartsheet Unlocked, the show designed to help people get the most out of Smartsheet, whether they're just getting started or already power users, where we bring you insights and real-life examples from Smartsheet everyday users, overachievers, the team developing, and the people within Smartsheet. Ultimately, our goal is to help inspire people to achieve better outcomes, leveraging the fantastic platform that is Smartsheet to help transform execution and unlock potential, be it organizationally or personally. We've been sharing tips and tricks on YouTube since 2021 and working with fantastic people from around the world, so we thought it about time we brought you some of these people to share their stories. I'm delighted to be joined today by Nathan Braun, founder of SSFeatures, which is a fantastic add-on solution to Smartsheet that's saving people so much time. I got to meet Nathan in person at Smartsheet Engage in Seattle in November, and we connected instantly. I loved hearing his story as to why he'd started SSFeatures and his journey so far, and I thought it'd be so great to share this with other people, especially to help more people actually get to find out about SSFeatures. Nathan, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Rich. And it was awesome to meet you at Engage as well.
Nathan, thank you again. I find going to Engage absolutely fantastic because you're surrounded by all these people who are fascinated by Smartsheet, who are doing amazing things. And it is meeting people like you. And gosh, we were very lucky to have dinner and we assembled a wide group of people there. And it was just crazy, just talking all evening with these people doing fantastic things. So Nathan, and I was delighted to be able to have you at that table. Go, wow, and all these people going, oh, you're the man who's doing SSFeatures.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, hey, we'll dig into that a bit more. We'll learn more about SSFeatures for those who don't know. But before we do, Nathan, tell us a bit about who are you? Where do you live? Where are you from? What's your background?
Yeah, I live in California. I'm actually pretty close to Los Angeles, born and raised out here. And so I wanted to be able to stay in the area. I ended up going to school in UC Berkeley, which was a very, very challenging school, but it taught me a lot about engineering and really put me on the path to being able to do what I'm doing today, to be able to build SSFeatures. When I was at Berkeley, I did a couple internships at Twitter, which at the time, Twitter was a really, really fun company. I'd love to get into that and at some point in the future. And then after that, after those internships, I went over to Google, which was quite a different environment from Twitter, but really, really taught me the fundamentals of engineering. And I use those comfortably to build SSFeatures after Google.
Nathan, clearly a deep technical background. So what got you into technology in the first place? I mean, I guess you're a bit younger than me. I've got a rather grey beard compared to your fantastic beard there. Have you always been drawn to technology? Because that's a pretty powerful route from UC Berkeley to Twitter to the Google. I mean, you've been top tier, man.
Thank you. I've always been interested in technology. It's funny, like my parents, they'll bring up how I used to play with a VCR, but I lacked the ability to play with cars or, the imagination side of things, that I was always somebody who just tinkered around with things from the very beginning. Fortunately, my parents bought me a computer when I was in 7th grade, and from there I just started rebuilding it. Eventually I got into software engineering, writing code, and building video games and things of that nature. But I really didn't hone in on my skill set heavily until community college. And then, building from there, I realized I really want to do this. I love software engineering. What's also cool is I wasn't really, even though I had that strong technical background from a young age, I wasn't that good of a programmer when I first started. Like a lot of people think that, people who are good software engineers just hit the ground running. That wasn't the case with me. It did take a little bit of getting used to, but I loved it. I loved it from the very beginning. And that passion for it is really what carried me through the difficulty of Berkeley, getting through Google. And then, over time you become really good at it, but you have to have that endurance from the very beginning.
You're so right there, though. It's like so many things. I mean, gosh, in fact, I see the guitars behind you, actually. I've got short, stubby fingers. I tried to do music when I was younger. My brain didn't compute. But again, it's like anything, to become an expert in something, it's that time. Sports people, what sets people apart, and it's that start on that trajectory. So Nathan, I totally get, you found something which you're passionate about, and it's not, I want to be in technology. You did it because you loved it. And clearly
Yeah.
you're doing what you do today because you love it. I do what I do because I love it. And so,
Yeah.
I'm playing. It feels like playing. And I guess that's the same for you in that you found what it was. And I guess your parents are saying, Nathan, do you want to go play outside? You're like, no, thanks. I want to play inside.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way. And then as you went off to, Twitter and Google, they're like, okay, Nathan, we're glad we let you play, play
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, they talk about that a lot too. And I think one of the things that I'm most blessed with is the fact that I got into software at such a good time, right? I still would have done it even if it wasn't as lucrative as it would have been. But even right now with AI, like there's so much power at our fingertips to build stuff. And the fact that I have built up the skill set for so long, I'm very blessed to be where I'm at right now. I feel for people who are just now graduating because it's going to be a little bit harder. There's a lot more people in this space, but yeah, it's a fun thing to be able to just create something right there. Just write the
And
code for it and you're good.
yeah, but Nathan, I think almost what you're describing equally though is that people finding actually something they're passionate about. So it's not just, oh, I want to be in technology. It's about find the thing which you care about, and then you'll be differentiated. So yes, it absolutely is a challenge for people. And I guess, yeah, there you are now. You're a parent yourself, and
Yeah,
so you'll be then kind of thinking as your children grow, like where do they go in technology? But hey,
yeah.
that's another story. Hopefully, we can do another podcast in another period of time on that bit. But let's dive in. So Google, just give me a quick sort of bit of background. So that was your last role before you set up SS Features. How long were you there for? And what changed and triggered the move to found SS Features?
Yeah, I was there for 7 years, and the whole time I was on the same team, and so I got really good at the job. And I really liked it at the beginning for like the first 4 years. But things started to change a lot after COVID. And I'm pretty sure everybody's aware Google started doing massive amount of layoffs. I think the first round was like 12,000 people in early 2023. And from then on, every time they would do layoffs, they would completely reorg the company. And at the time, I was a tech lead at Google, which meant I was responsible for figuring out what projects our team needs to work on. So when they do these layoffs and it reorgs the company, all the projects that I had gotten ready for my team, got all the VPs to buy in, got everybody in alignment, they all get canceled. And that happened 3 times in a row. So over a 3 year period, I did not get any production code really out. So that feeling, that internal feeling of you're spending all this effort, right? You're putting this much time into putting these projects out. You're watching your team sweat over these projects and then they just get canceled. It's super disheartening. So I knew that I wanted to go and I wanted to build something that was useful. I had that feeling at Google early on, building things that are useful, but once that goes away, you can only pay me so much for so long. If I feel like I'm wasting my time, I'm going to leave. So,
Wow. But to then go out, get SS Features. So had you set up, was it up and running? Was it there as a business before you left, or did you just check out and say, hey, I'm going to go and become an entrepreneur?
yeah, no, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had already made the decision that I wanted to quit, but I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. So as it was leading up to my quitting time, it was okay, please, like, let's go do some research. Let's find something that I can build that will make me feel useful, but also will support my family and has like a good avenue of being able to support my family. I got very lucky. I happened to find Smartsheet at that time as I was planning on leaving, but had never even heard of Smartsheet before because Google, Google likes their internal products, especially for engineering. And so when I found out about Smartsheet, I found how big the user base of Smartsheet was, which is phenomenal, right? Or many, many millions of people. And then one of the most important things that Smartsheet has is the community forum. So I was able to go through the community forum and find lots of feature requests, like thousands of feature requests that people said were super, super useful. And I could see all the feedback. I could sort by which ones were the highest priority. And my idea was, let's just see if I could build one of these things. So I left Google, and then within like the first month, I started throwing together one of the features as a browser extension, and it just kind of rolled from there. It's like, let's just
So,
keep tacking on more features into this.
so hang on a second. So let's just sanity check here. You left Google without a role, and you decided to create a company. I guess the name followed afterwards, but you basically took your analytical mind and found a problem that needed solving. So it wasn't, oh, I'm going to build a technology. You actually went, what is it that people want and need?
Yeah,
And how fantastic that you've got this user base out there who's saying these are the things you want. And then you, without knowing Smartsheet, were able to crack solutions. that for me is absolutely insane, Nathan, and kind of, massive kudos to you. And you probably must be scratching your head saying, well, but you can fix it like this. So why isn't someone else doing this? I guess, yeah, but no one else has.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like. And I tell people I am a Smartsheet amateur. I'm not a power user. I don't know Smartsheet very well at all. And that's a strength that I've leveraged. It's because I don't let my biases about what should be built get in the way of talking to people. So, like Rich, you've given me plenty of awesome ideas, and you're very well known in the community. And other people just they send me their ideas now because for these small things, these small like simple tasks, that's where I'm able to do pretty well. Those large like AI heavy features, those are where Smartsheet is. I can't touch that. That's all Smartsheet. But these really small things that are just like, oh, let's make this doable in one button press instead of 10 button presses, or let's just add this information. That's really where I'm able to fill in the gap.
So for those who don't know SS features, then, in a nutshell, what is it?
It is a browser extension that makes Smartsheet easier to use. That's all it is. But in practice, it is just a bunch of features that are very useful bundled into one extension. You install the extension on your computer, refresh Smartsheet, and you'll see a bunch of new buttons and forms and all this cool stuff that you've never seen in Smartsheet before.
Gosh, so to be able to use it and access it, again, it's just that browser extension. So I guess really easy, from that side. Anything people should be aware of security, etc., when it comes to this?
That's one of the most interesting things, and something I was very fortunate having experience at Google at, right? Because at Google, security is super important, especially since they own Chrome, knowing what are the implications of having a browser extension. So I knew if I was going to build SS Features, a browser extension, I couldn't ever send any Smartsheet data out. Everything always had to be completely client-side within Smartsheet. Otherwise, companies like Google would never be willing to put it on their computers. So it's a completely client-side browser extension. And what you can do is you could open up Smartsheet with SS Features, turn on airplane mode, and then you can use every single feature in SS Features, and you'll see that nothing breaks, which is like a core testament to the product and something that I love. And it's that way also for security teams at these big companies, they can do that and they can see the source code, and it's very easy for me to get through security reviews in that regard.
And Nathan, this goes back to you having come from background Twitter and then Google, is absolutely your thinking with that enterprise hat on. You're very much thinking, how do we, and we'll touch on Smarthub a bit later, but absolutely we've built that with security right at its core from an enterprise grade. Again, I come from a big company background and it's helped me in my thinking. And I guess what I love so much about what you've done is, as I said, you're going how to make it easier. How to make it easier for people to use Smartsheet. You're going, Smartsheet is a fantastic platform. And there are things, if it only could do this, or only could do that, and you saw this thing, you said, well, great. Well, let me help people do that. Smartsheet will get around to fixing it. And, at some moment, whilst they're working on bigger things, great. Well, let me just solve this little point of friction and do something else. And people going, hey, Nathan, yeah, and can you do this? So
Yeah.
what was the first feature that you actually developed then?
The first feature, it was auto sorting. And this was before Smartsheet had table view or anything. So this is the one solution for being able to auto sort something in Smartsheet. And it's such a simple idea, right? You just want to be able to, anytime you make a change to your sheet, have that column get sorted with the new data. And it took me about a week to implement it from the ground up. But then from there, that's where people started to realize, oh, let me send these ideas to Nathan and let's see what we could build. And so a lot of the features that I have in SS Features are pretty simple like that, but they're powerful. And I would like to eventually get them incorporated into Smartsheet as a whole.
Nathan, again, much as we're doing with some of our own developments as well, is absolutely about saying, what are the things that are needed? And I think it's fantastic having people like you, who are what we're doing ourselves equally, and other partners who are building things to say, actually, is there a market for it? Is it needed? And then almost we're doing market research on behalf of Smartsheet to validate that need. And they're going, yes, we'll get to that in due course. A number of the things which you've created actually with table view are now being incorporated into table view now. So therefore, this is the joy of doing what I call micro tools, in that by creating these micro tools, well, you spent a week developing that tool and it serves a purpose. And it may no longer be needed, but that doesn't mean your product's gone because, well, that was the first one you did. And then how many tools, how many features have you now got created? I mean, I was just going through your websites and just reminding, and Nathan, the list keeps growing. I mean,
Yeah.
do you even know how many different tools you've got, how many features you've got going?
Yeah, it's about 30 now. And I started when I launched my MVP, I only had 3. And I tell people I'd like to double that, right? I would like to be able to just keep adding so much more value. The goal that I have for SS Features is I want SS Features to be so valuable that every Smartsheet user uses it. And in doing so, also keeping the price very affordable for people. As a single person running the whole company, I try to keep it very inexpensive, but I want everybody to be using it. Like, I want it to add so much value that everybody just wants it.
And Nathan, I think the thing that for me is really interesting is it's a utility which, if you don't have SS features, it doesn't stop you using Smartsheet at all. But what it does is it saves a pile of time. And on your website, it says save 60 minutes a day, depending on what someone's doing. It can absolutely save so much time. And I know, having used it myself, where I suddenly go, well, hang on a second, let me just try out one of Nathan's features. Wow, that's just saving literally an hour of my time when doing a build. And for those of us who are doing deep builds, it is such a time saver. So I guess, a bit of feedback from me, Nathan. Loved it. It was one of those things, and I know myself that you create these tools and people go, I don't really need it at this moment in time. But then when they do need it, and they suddenly do discover it, they go, I can't live without it. Or I could do, but if you're going to take it away from me, gosh, it's going back to the Stone Age in many ways. So, Nathan, feedback I get requests from you. Can you give me a review on Google? I've given you a 5-star review, which I'm very proud to have done because, Nathan, I want to support people who are doing awesome things. But yeah, what kind of feedback have you had from others? I see you popping up on LinkedIn regularly, and I'm seeing a lot of love from many people whose names I recognize there. So clearly, you've got a big of a fan base out there. And anyone I speak to about SS Features, when they've heard of it, they go, oh yeah, Nathan, what a lovely guy. What a great product.
Yeah, the feedback has been incredible. One of the things that, since I'm not like a heavy Smartsheet user, I'm not a power user or a consultant, I don't get as a lot of the benefits from these features as a lot of other people do, right? So the way that I gauge how much utility I'm adding is by the feedback people telling me. Engage was where I really felt it, right? Because this was my first time actually seeing people in person that have used my product, because this last year was my first time going to Engage, and it was unbelievable. I had people coming up giving me hugs, and I was able to jump between, like, going between all the booths, just talking to everybody because everybody was already using it and talking about it, and having people come up telling me this is so helpful. It's saving so much time. It's doing this and that. I had such a high after leaving Engage when I came back home to tell my wife, just telling her how many people, like, being able to just bounce. Also, the dinner that you took me out to, it was cool being able to sit at the table and you introduce me to people, and then them say, "Oh yeah, I use it too." And I hadn't talked to these people, so being able to hear them say it adds a lot of value to them. It was the first time that I was really able to experience that, and it's what I was hoping to get at Google, but had fallen off from Google over those years that made me want to create SS Features in the first place. Engage was amazing for me.
Gosh, and Nathan, I remember my first time going to Engage and yeah, having the YouTube channel. When someone came up to say, you're from Productive,
Yeah,
it is, you suddenly realize, because it can be very anonymous doing technology or being involved in this and putting content out there. And yes, you get to see the people who are subscribing and using your products. Again, in most cases, I had no idea who was actually watching the YouTube videos. And so when certain people came up to me and told me that was so wonderful to hear and see. And I guess just being surrounded by people, but then that would have been the biggest market research for you of people going, oh, this is Nathan. Nathan, can you do this? Could you do
yeah.
that? Could you do that? And presumably you just came back with how many notebooks full of ideas? And I guess the challenge is to prioritize. Just talk to me about that, actually. So when people come with ideas, how do you prioritize? And you start off SS Features with the 30 features there. Have you got a team? How many Nathans are there?
Yeah, it's just me doing
Just
everything,
you,
and
just you.
just
Wow.
yeah. And one of the things that's super important for me is I want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to send me whatever feedback they want. So I let people, they can send an email, text message, video chat, Loom, Slack, because I want to get those ideas. And I tell people, no matter what idea you send me, I will write it down. So I have this absolutely massive document with probably 300, 400 feature requests and ideas, and I always tag the name to that specific person. But what I do is, as people are talking about it, I bump it up, right? I have my high priority section, my immediate section, bug fixes, and sometimes I feel just like something's calling to me, telling me this is the feature we need to do next, because I'll get 3 people with the same idea that tell me in the same week, Okay, we're going to do that one. And then sometimes there's just such a good idea that nobody had said, but I know it's very easy to implement. For example, one of the most recent ones was being able to show all of the column information. Very simple, descriptions, column formulas, column types. I threw it together in a week because it just seemed like such a good idea that I hadn't even thought of and that nobody else had mentioned specifically to me. So it's very flexible. I like to keep it a very whatever I feel like is going to add the most value now and is most feasible for me to code as well. So that's the other aspect. It has to be
Uh,
a doable feature.
yeah, it is. It's always what's the impact, but also the achievability. I guess just trying to triage what's coming in, because I can imagine that that becomes overwhelming in many ways to know what to go after. And what I find fascinating, Nathan, is ultimately each of these features, so they're just part of the subscription. So
Yeah.
if you've got it, and actually you start off with three, then six, then nine, now 30 utilities within 30 different features, gosh, you're just extending that utility. And that's the piece where you go, okay, who, what, where next? So I imagine you've got some people who are like, okay, if I shout louder, hopefully Nathan will listen to me more.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And sometimes it works too, especially if they have other people who have the same idea and they can vouch for that being like a very incredible idea. All right, we'll do it. We'll get that done.
And I think I'm a bit like you in that I feel instinctively when I do a YouTube video, for example, there's just something where I go, I want to crack this problem. People have said it can't be done, or suddenly it just comes up and yeah, there's many things, many videos I can do, but I'm going, hang on a second, no, I want to see if I can crack it. And then you get on and you go and do. And I guess that's the piece for you. So, what are the things that you haven't been able to crack then? What are the limitations? Because you say it's a browser extension. So, just so sort of give people an idea, there are clearly things which you can do with a browser extension, but the things you can't do. You mentioned, for example, it's not taking in information outside.
There's a massive amount of stuff I can't do with SS features because I can't send any data to my server or to my database or anything. So a good example would be like a drop-down manager, which is something that Smartsheet implemented one recently, and it's kind of a popular utility, being able to update the options in a drop-down field when you have like a source sheet. I can't do that because that would require me sending data from the browser to my server and then listening for changes to that sheet and then making those updates. So there's really a whole bunch of stuff I can't do. And what's cool about that is it I've carved out my own niche and I don't really want to do those things. I have like my own moat and then I'll let all the other companies and consultants do all that other stuff that I don't know how to do because I don't work that much with Smartsheet people other than for the purpose of SS features. So I like going for these nice little small ones that are simple. If you go look at the list of features in SS features, a lot of them are just, wow, that is so simple, right? Like, why hasn't that been done? And for the coding side, it keeps things easy for me. Nice, simple features, nothing complicated, no data needs to be transferred out. And so having that nice dividing line works really well for me.
And Nathan, again, let's just roll back. So, how long has SS Features been up and running now?
Less than 2 years. Less than two. What's actually cool is next week will be exactly 2 years since I left Google.
So, you've been running coming up to 2 years. And in numbers, indicatively, if you're open to sharing anything, how many people are kind of using it?
Several thousand.
Nathan, to come from a standing start is absolutely, for me, outstanding as an entrepreneur, someone who walked away from a role at Google to go because you're driven to get your work recognized. And the fact that then you can walk into a room with a product and people are going, Nathan, you've made such a difference to me. And that must be so heartwarming in there. So, and the fact you were engaged, I actually love that. And that you actually presented at the partner summit at Engage
Yeah.
as well. So you were invited in. So what's your relationship with Smartsheet? Tell me about that. Because how did that come about in terms of them going, oh, hang on a second, we should have this as part of our core feature as well?
Yeah. So I'm a Tech Alliance partner, and I originally talked with some of the people there about becoming a Smartsheet aligned partner. But since SS Features is it's just one product, and I'm not making relationships with lots of companies to sell Smartsheet licenses or build stuff like that, we decided, okay, let's move them just over to the tech side. It's just a tool that is helping to keep people happy with Smartsheet and help people stay within the platform and things like that.
Nathan, and I love that. Again, it goes back to you as an entrepreneur and setting up your business. Very single-minded of how can I bring utility and benefit to people? How can I take a product which is awesome in its own right and make it better? And you talk about Chrome extensions, make Chrome more useful. You talk about all softwares out there. There's a marketplace of tools that make that software
Yeah.
go even further. And so what you're doing is just simply that. You're taking it further and providing utility, and you've got feedback from people where you're making that difference to them. So actually, I find that fantastic. And when I speak to many of my contacts at Smartsheet are using SSFeatures themselves, and they'll be saying, yeah, this saves me a pile of time. And so this is what Smartsheet's about, saving people time. So embrace it. And yeah, so delighted when I got to see you there, because it suddenly turned you from a name, Nathan, who I see popped up on the community on LinkedIn, to hey, this lovely guy who I'm now chatting to here, and who, in fact, we're now working with on Smarthub as well. So, Nathan, you spoke about your first feature and you've touched on a few other features. Which is the one feature you'd say that people get most excited about? And again, it's less about the feature, but what's the outcome? What are you helping people achieve as a result of that? You save time, but what is it that people are trying to achieve?
The one that most people love is the ability to hide and unhide specific columns, because it's such a simple idea, right? Being able to just find the column you're looking for and unhide it, or being able to just jump to that column. But I feel like I executed it very well. And so it's something that people use over and over again. I'll get people saying, I don't even hide or unhide columns the native Smartsheet way. I only use the SS features way. And for me, that feels good because it's something that's so simple. And it was just it's one of my most simple features, but it has such a high impact and it just feels good.
And it is all these things that you things you didn't know you needed. And then
Yeah.
when you realize it's there, then it's like, well, you're not going to take it away from me now. I
Yeah.
remember my first ever engage. I was walking around, I was there on my own, and literally I was walking behind some people and they sort of got chatting to them, and they were talking about, oh, if only I could unhide columns. And that this was back in 2022, I think it was. And Nathan, and then lo and behold, you come with that feature. And yes, I know there are features which are coming within table view, which means that will become less important for people. But I guess it doesn't matter, because that's your aim isn't to have a tool which can't be replaced. Your aim is just to continually have utility. And what with a list of 300 features plus, which will be growing ever more that people are asking for, well, great, move on. What's the next one? What's the next one?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And it doesn't cost people anymore the fact that you've got that feature, which they might choose to use because they've got used to it, muscle memory.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about then a feature. What's the one that really gets you excited about that you went, yeah, I'm really proud of having cracked this one? And yeah, or you're still cracking.
Yes, yes. The one for sure, copy and pasting automation workflows. It is such a hard feature. Like the code for that, I didn't think was going to be possible. And when I was trying to brainstorm ideas on how to do it, it was it was very difficult. And then executing it was a testament to like coding abilities and really forcing me to think of different solutions. It was from the technical side, some of the things that I left Google for, right? I wanted less of the politics, less of the bureaucracy that you get in a large company, all the meetings. I wanted to go back to Berkeley, where you have lots of really hard technical challenges that you have to solve. But the difference here is it's something that is also super useful, because the idea obviously came from users. People were asking for it over and over again, and I was holding off because I just didn't think I could do it. And then finally, I'm like, all right, I have time. Let's put the effort into something that is going to be challenging just to see if it's doable or not. And it was, even maintaining it, it's a very hard feature, but super useful.
Nathan, I could totally get the benefit of that as you grow. The solutions you build within Smartsheet, be able to take those. And yes, you can save as new a solution, but no, you want to take those automations and take them elsewhere. Such use. And I'll go back to conditional formatting. The ability to copy conditional formatting from one to the other is nuts. To see that is fantastic. And I think I was seeing on your feature list on your website that actually you can do it between the US and EU server. Now that might be on the automations, or actually maybe on conditional formatting as well.
It's on both. Yeah.
Yeah, so these things where you go, hang on a second, I can do that. And so for those of us who are spending our time building solutions for clients, for people, ultimately, Nathan, for someone like me, it means that actually I can spend more time adding greater value to my clients, because I'm not spending 4 hours having to do these changes. Actually, I can therefore make sure I'm doing the value add and not copying, pasting to build something that takes me an hour, takes me 5 minutes. That's a massive difference. And so therefore, I then say, right, this is taking me 5 minutes, not an hour. What should we do with the other 55 minutes? How to add value? So, Nathan, you're freeing us up to add more value. And ultimately, that's the whole goal, to help everyone achieve more with Smartsheet. So, gosh. And Nathan, I guess, any other features you've got on the horizon that you're working on without letting too much slip, for example? But I'm sure there's things you crack. And presumably also, there's some you start where you go, yeah, I can't. Or you come back to it. And I know for myself, there are things which I start and then I come back to it 6 months later. I keep looping back and eventually I'll work out. And it's about thinking your way around a problem.
Yeah.
There's many different ways to crack it.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of something that I wasn't able to crack, I had a bunch of people give ideas for sheet summaries, ways to make that sheet summary panel better. And I put these together and I tried and tried and tried. And it's just the way that it's written and the limitations for SS features, I wasn't able to crack those ones. But I have a few ideas that are really at the top of mind without going too heavily into them. One is the idea of making formula management a lot easier. Being able to see all your formulas across the sheets, all the columns, all the cells, and being able to do find and replace, being able to export that data nicely to like an Excel file or a PDF. There's a whole bunch of features that I've been gathering over the past 2 years relating to formulas. So I want to kind of bundle those together. And the fun part is, how do you make that into a user experience that is easy to use? It's not overwhelming on the amount of buttons. And I'm still playing around with how do I want the UI to look on that? And what will I actually support for that?
And I love it that you've come from a background where it's the user experience. It's about how do people engage with it. And this is the challenge for all of us, to make sure it's not too technical. What's the problem that people are trying to solve for? And is it worth going after? And it's trying to crack it. Gosh. And so, there's, you're getting inspiration from all sorts of people at all times. I think and just to remind me, so for people, if they want to reach out to you, I think the best way is via your website, via LinkedIn. I guess many ways that they can get hold of you, Nathan. And it sounds like some people have got you on speed dial as well. Presumably, you have calls with people where you can go a bit deeper just to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way, if you just want to contact me online, is just connect with me on LinkedIn, because I'm on that pretty much all day long. If you want to use the product or contact me about the product stuff, you could just go to the SS Features website. And I've tried to design the website to be super easy to use. And then otherwise, you can find my phone number there too, and you can just give me a call.
Well, Nathan, gosh, I certainly love using SS Features, and I'll put a link in so that everyone can know to find ssfeatures.com. It's pretty easy to find. So I love you came up with a name, which was a domain. I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile as well as to the website there. But also, I've mentioned we've launched Smarthub, and couldn't be more delighted, Nathan, to have you as one of our founding creators. We've actually launched SS Features within Smarthub. And again, Smarthub, as you know, the whole intent here is to help people achieve more with Smartsheet. It's tools which go further. And where it complements SS Features so much is yours is that Chrome extension, whereas ours goes into and does some of those utilities which you described. So, for example, we created a drop-down manager tool in the same way because we can. Now, as Smartsheet has developed and launched their feature, oh, great. So ours isn't needed anymore. Ours works in a slightly different way. So actually, some people might still want to use it. But Nathan, I love the mindset, and I think that's why I connected with you so much, because you haven't come about this to say, how can I just build a business and what's my $1 billion business? Is rather, how can I launch products that you're intensely proud about, that are affordable, that people will use and get out to. So your intent is to get out to as many people as possible. And I love seeing within the partner community as well that many partners are speaking about your product. It's about all of us to be able to share. And this is why I wanted to invite you on here as well, Nathan, because to date I've been pretty quiet about SS Features. And if people watch my more recent videos, you'll see SS Features popping up. And I'm going to be delighted to do some videos just to show how actually things you can do and then how you can speed up, because it is all about inspiring people of what is possible within SS Features. So Nathan, you've saved me a pile of time. And again, to bring you on as that first creator we've launched Smarthub with is fantastic. I am still very excited about other people we're already going to bring their tools on, but it is, as you said, you've got this niche. You're very clear and single-minded about what you're doing and the impact you're having. And yeah, I'm very excited, Nathan, to continue partnering with you and to see what tools, what features you've got coming next. And it is, we don't have to create certain features that we were looking to do. I was going, how to do various things. And I went, oh, Nathan's done that. We don't need to anymore. Great. Well, There's no point trying to compete. There's no competition. It's about solve the needs of other people. So Nathan, gosh, and beyond SS features then, I mean, clearly you then, to relax, sounds like or looks like you play the guitar as well. So, you presumably got a busy family life as well. So Nathan,
Yeah.
a lot going on. Anything else you wanted to share with people just to, a bit more insight into the world of Nathan Braun?
Yeah. One of the things I just want everybody to know is, like I've reiterated, please send me any ideas that you have. Right? I do write every single idea down, and being able to move them around and shift them around and prioritize them, everybody's feedback gets accounted for. So please message me, please talk to me. I might already connected with you on LinkedIn because I'm very adamant about connecting with everybody in the Smartsheet community. But please reach out. I definitely don't bite, and I look forward to talking to everybody.
Gosh, well, Nathan, thank you so much for giving me time with you today. I always thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. Loved getting to sit with you around the table, and I truly hope that we get to spend some more time in person. But again, we'll be talking a lot more as we launch Smart Hub as well, and again sharing that. So, Nathan, thank you for your time today. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, until next time.
Thank you very much for having me on, Rich. I appreciate it.
Well, there we have it. Nathan Braun, founder of SS Features. It's such a fantastic utility. If you are a user of Smartsheet, go and find out about it because it's there to save people time. As Nathan described, it's these little micro tools which just make that difference where you can save up to 60 minutes a day if you're a heavy user on Smartsheet. All these little things there. And the fact is, once it's installed on your Chrome browser, it's there and it just works in the background. So go find it out. And yeah, this is going to just enhance your usage of Smartsheet, help you achieve more things that you're able to achieve already. And yeah, here at Productive, we're in the same boat. We're also working like Nathan to find ways constantly to help people achieve more with Smartsheet as well. So we'd be delighted to hear from anyone who has got any ideas of one, what else to share on the podcast to inspire people, two, on the YouTube videos that we do of what else might make a difference. And yeah, please let us know. And then three, we've launched a Smart Hub also so that you can also have different tools along with Nathan's to help you achieve more. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining Nathan and me today. And yeah, until the next podcast, bye for now.